Guys, while we're waiting for the other guys to join, let me just say hi. Welcome to the second meetup of Q1. So it's our second meetup of the year, and it's our second meetup of Q1. This is actually the the most funnest meetup I kind of enjoy out of the 3 meetups that we have every quarter. So it's our Ideation one. We tend to have a theme around our every quarter. So for this quarter, our theme is 3-legged OAuth, which is actually pretty cool. We do record these sessions for those guys who can't attend. And it's also a nice way to just come back a bit later to just take a look at the stuff that we talked about, because I know that we tend to forget a lot about that. I think I know everyone in the call at the moment. If I haven't had the chance to meet all of you, my name is Nick Benson. I'm the community lead for Programmable Banking. So as you guys know, we have 3 meetups every quarter. First meetup is about Wayne and the Investec team then talks about the cool things that they've planned for this quarter and what they bought in the last quarter. Our second meetups are our Ideation, our fun ones, where we get together, we tend to play around with the community guys and some cool things. And then our third meetup is then, I get some feedback here. Sorry, man.
I think it's from Vince.
It would be Vince. Vince, you tell, man. I'm muting you, man. So, cool. Thanks, man. Oh, that's much better. And our third meetup is then our demo of what was produced within that quarter, which is actually very cool and very fun. Our rough agenda for tonight, again, this is your meetup, so feel free if there's something that you want to talk about, want to chat about, please let me know, let us know, put up your hand, we can chat about that. Very roughly, our agenda is Wayne's going to walk us through a 3-legged OAuth, what it is, what it means for Investec, and some use cases that we've come up with that I think you guys can think about when you go into the ideation sort of session, and just think about the cool things that you can actually do around that. Then we'll jump into the ideation or session. I'll give you a quick sort of walk through of what you can expect, how to put it together, and how we're actually going to do it. And of course, there's going to be prizes to be won as usual. And then we'll talk about our community updates, what we have planned. We've got some cool events that are coming up in the next few weeks that I think you guys are going to really enjoy, and some plans and thinking around our community and how we can make our community really cool. And again, it's another space for you to just win some more swag. There's some cool Ziggy hoodies and everything else that we've just produced, so feel free to get involved there. Get some socks too if you want. Cool. Any questions, guys? Did I miss anything? Everyone happy with that so far? Feel free to use the reactions on the side if you want. So it's kind of hard to know. Cool. There we go. Hey, cool. I see fingers up. Yeah, that is a finger. Yeah, cool. Wayne, would you like to walk us through 3-legged OAuth?
Yes. Cool. So I'm not sure I'm going to stick to your slides exactly, but cool. Let's just go through it. I've done this a couple of times in the community, so for those that have heard it before, I'm sorry, but I think it's good to just have a refresher exactly what it is and why it's important and all these things. So basically, 3-legged OAuth is just another client or another credential grant type basically for OAuth. Simplest way to explain it, it is a way for a client of Investec to share their data with a third party. In other words, there's a couple of ways to think about how we go about thinking about it. One is, you all know what screen scraping is. I'm sure everybody's heard about screen scraping. It's how these companies come in and they ask you for your username, password for your online banking, and then they come in and basically scrape the inside of the website. 3-legged OAuth is basically a direct replacement for that. So instead of putting in your Investec login credentials, you'll be putting in your login credentials on our site, but we'll be issuing tokens to the third parties, which is much safer from our point of view than you actually putting in your full credentials on there. Okay, Nick, just go to the next slide. This is very nerdy that. I'm happy to cover some of that if you want to So whoever wants to stop me and ask questions, tell me if it's too much or too little. I'm happy to take it from the audience. So why three-legged OAuth is important? From a security point of view, I think that's the biggest change here. Like traditionally, if you build anything on the API right now, and you wanted to put it in the app, you would typically have to put your client ID and secret in that app and access the app directly. So if you connect to the API as it is today, you obviously use client ID and secret, you connect to the API, you get your data, you do whatever you need to do. If you start giving that out to a third party, in other words, you want somebody else to access the data on your behalf, the last thing you want to do is to say, hey, third party, here's my actual credentials for Investec. So that's super dodgy. So what this one allows you to do is to, as I explained earlier, is to actually go through a three-legged OAuth flow, which very simply is similar to if you go to Takealot or anything and you do a payment. Or I'm sure you've all used Google's OAuth mechanism before. So basically, let's just say you go to Takealot. This is a hypothetical example, just by the way. And you want to make a payment, and we expose payment APIs. Takealot will redirect you to us, to our login page, login.secureinvestec.com. You'll log in there. You'll say Takealot wants to make a payment on your behalf. You'll authorize that payment inside Investec Online, which will redirect you back to Takealot, and Takealot will say, cool, the bank has authorized the payment, if that makes sense. So it's like a little flow where you break out of the vendor website, come to us, set up what you want the vendor to do, and then send it back to the website. So you've probably seen this pattern all over the place. It's not very well used in South Africa. I think the biggest use cases here started to emerge in the UK after PSD2, where basically the UK regulator replaced screen scraping with it. So if you're in the UK, banks have to open up their APIs, and you have to enable a three-legged OAuth flow for third-party vendors to come in and do your stuff. If that makes sense. So the integration part, it's a very standard pattern. So it's not like very bespoke and you have to like figure out what's Investec trying to do here with stuff. We're trying to make everything as smooth and easy as possible. So if you just Google three-legged OAuth, you'll figure it out and you'll be able to apply that same logic onto our thing. So there's nothing fancy or original there. And I think the exciting bit is all the opportunities this unlocks. And I think as we go into the use cases, hopefully you'll get a feel for why it's so exciting for us. It's very nerdy. And to try and explain this to a business person has been an absolute nightmare for me because they're like, what the hell are you saying? Type of vibe. But anyway, okay, next. This one, just skip this one. I will come to it last. I think the sequence is a bit wrong. Okay, next. Let's just go through some of the use cases just so we get a feel for it. Like we've recently been working with Milan, and I think that blog thing went out today or something around Milan's spreadsheet banking thing. Now, how three-legged OAuth fits into spreadsheet banking is basically, so what we're trying to do here is say, can we make a Google spreadsheet talk to your bank? Now, that sounds quite cool. So you basically open up your Google Sheet, and it pulls your transactions from the bank into that Google Sheet, which lets you then do stuff. The problem there is the Google Sheet needs to have access to our API. And the way we're going to do that is to say, when you open up, well, that's like quite complicated, but just think of it theoretically, you will basically say, Google Sheet, I'm going to authorize this sheet to access my data, which will take you through a three-legged OAuth flow on Investec Online. You'll say, I'm happy for this one Google Sheet to read my data. Come back, and now you plugged your basically Google Sheet into the bank, if that makes sense, by giving it permissions. The crux of the matter here is the data in the bank belongs to you. Three-legged OAuth is a way for you to share that data with any third party. It's to give them permissions to use it on your behalf. Okay. Next. I'm just going to run through this very quickly. Yeah. So there's been I think in the industry, the biggest use case for screen scraping has been around budgets, PFM, money based, and you pull the data into a centralized app that allows you to like see all of your investments, all your savings, all the transactions happening in a consolidated way. The way three-legged OAuth fits into that would be that you basically, in that app, go get all the different financial institutions. You grant the app access to those financial institutions to pull your data. So there's been a lot of use cases in this around aggregation, like 22/7 in Cape Town. They do something very similar to this, where you like basically pulling in all your data together into one app by permissioning the banks to send it to this app. That makes sense. Okay. Nick, just if I miss some of these, or I'm messing it up, let me know. Okay.
Cool. Got it. Yeah.
This one is a weird one.
Yeah, this one was a silly one that I was just thinking about. So please forgive me if it's a bit crazy.
I think since it's silly, you can take us through this one.
Okay, I'll take you through this one. So have you guys? oh, look, a bus. Okay, so anyway, there's Anna. Have you guys seen Anna? It's on this whole Netflix on social media and stuff. But she's basically this fake whole Eris lady, you know. But the idea is essentially everyone agrees to log on to this app that then loads and connects up to their bank accounts. And then when the bill is ready to be paid for something, so at the restaurant or something, it will then automatically run a sort of a roulette wheel to then pick out the person and then authorize the transaction to be on their account. So you can spin up a big bill at a party and play Russian roulette on who's going to pay that big bill. The trick is that the main profile never pays. So the one who sets up the whole roulette doesn't pay. So
that's very sneaky.
Yeah, that's very sneaky. So that's because that's the idea of it. But
it's basically a technological version of the old card roulette.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole gist of it. Yeah.
Okay. Check.
Got it.
So I think the theory here was you could, for example, build an app where you say, instead of me donating money directly to a charity, I want to authorize the app to go and get the money and then invest it, so like consolidate it into something a bit more bigger. Like if each of us give 10 Rand to different places, it might not have as much impact as what we all donate something to a centralized app. So we authorize this app to take 10 Rand from all of us, and we invest that money through this app into something a bit more meaningful instead of our 10 Rand each. Okay. No, previous one. I think we skipped one.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm not endorsing at all, just by the way, but it's just an idea. So what you could do is, we had some community members in the past built something where we basically want to see user behavior on an aggregate level. So what you could do is build an app and say, I want to give this app access to all of my transaction history anonymously. So we all put our transactions into this app. This app then goes and analyzes us and basically can sell that behavioral data to other people. To say, like, the average person in this call spends 50 Rand a month at Woolies, so we must do something there. Like, I know there is value in information. So this is a way where you could potentially authorize some form of an app to access your data, anonymize it, aggregate it, and then sell something a bit more valuable out of that app. Okay, there's probably 50,000 reasons why this is a bad idea, but anyway, it's an idea.
There's no such thing as a bad idea.
Okay.
The governance. Yeah.
I think in the next couple of years, you're probably going to see this thing become a bit more popular. So what we're talking about here is identity. So think of it as if I go and, I don't know, I want to open an account at Edgar's. Instead of filling in all the forms and things, but I could potentially just go there and say, I'm going to authorize Edgar's to pull all my transactions and account information directly, which means I don't have to fill in all those silly forms. I can just like authorize them to go and collect the data on my behalf and then do their onboarding process, because if the bank trusts me, there might be a reason for Edgar's to trust me as well, because at least they have access to my data. So it's almost like a proxy identity thing where you could say, because one institution trusts me and I share my data with that, can we use the data to facilitate another institution's process, whether it's onboarding or something like that? Yeah. Are we going to single view of all accounts? I think this one talks much to the earlier example where we aggregate accounts. So creating an app that goes to Nedbank, App Store, Investec, pulling all your account information into one thing and then saying, this is me on a holistic level, which generally is quite difficult. Okay, next. So this is actually a real world example, which is, I think it's a nice idea. For example, you could go to a car agency. You want to buy a car. At that point, the car agency wants like 3 months bank statements, wants all of those things. What you could do is just say, I've built an app that can like accelerate your credit process. You just put in your username and password. You authorize the agency to go to get the bank statement, so you don't have to do it. So instead of doing the past the bank for 3-month bank statements, all of those things. This can happen almost instantaneously, where you can give them access to your information to accelerate any credit process, basically. Okay, next. So this one would be similar to the account aggregation one, except you could potentially use this to, from a wealth point of view, pull in all your investments and get like a consolidated view of all your investments holistically. So typically, like I've got stuff maybe with Investec and stuff with RMB, but I can never see like what's my asset allocation holistically, because I'm not rich enough for a wealth manager. You need to earn a certain amount to get there. So what you can do with this is actually say, let me pull all my investment information from different sources, put it together, and I can see how much is invested in the US, how much invested in South Africa. So you can get a nice feel for asset allocation for all of your investments as a pleb like me.
I actually like it because it can connect up to a lot of things, from AI to sort of a machine learning sort of thing, which is actually pretty cool.
You could probably plug this into some AI engine that could potentially say, give you some advice, like, well, you are too heavily invested in the EU right now, and with Russia, it's probably not a good idea. So, like, you can like make some fancy stuff in that. Okay.
That's fancy. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I quickly rambled through it. I only had 10 minutes. Hopefully, that gives everybody a feel for like the type of things we can do. Obviously, this is very exciting for us because we can now let our clients interact with devs. Like, people can go build stuff, and our clients can interact with the things that people can build. So from a community point of view, this unlocks a massive amount of potential for us to see what really cool stuff the community can come up with.
Very cool. Cool. Any questions, guys? Anything you want to know about? Anything that... I don't know. You guys all keen and happy to come up with some ideas around it, and we're ready to jump in.
Can I just double check my understanding, because I'm quite new to the community? So are you saying that what's being discussed here, the OAuth process, means that I, Karina, can build my own app to run my budget and use that API in order to pull data into my app? Or I, Karina, can build an app to pull my data from that API to give it to a motor dealer, as an example. So that is for me as a private individual, or are we talking about it as a sort of a business? What's the angle?
I think both. That's the reality of it. I think there's probably more. Sorry, Nick, just scroll back to that slide I missed earlier where I said let's just skip to that to last.
Okay.
It is a way for you to share, or let me put it this way, it's a way for you to go build an app and then get any investor client to authorize you to access their data. That makes sense. So you could go and build an app and say, I want to build an app that, I don't know, like let's just take the easy one, like manages people's money effectively. You could then potentially, after a vetting process, which I'll discuss now, publish that app, and then investor clients could download your app, go through 3-layer auth, and actually pump their data into your app so that your app can actually now start helping more than you. Your example of pulling your own data, that's been in the API from the beginning, because like that's the normal way for yourself to pull your data. That's how we started. This one is for you to access another Investex client by getting them to authorize you to use their data. That makes sense. Sorry, did that answer your question? Am I just mumbling and confusing you more? Okay, good.
Russell had a comment?
No, it's okay. My understanding was exactly as Wayne has just said it now. So that's clear. I understand it. It's really the idea behind it is for potential developers to develop applications that could gain access to others' banking detail, banking information.
Cool, thanks. And I think Bricky in the comments.
That was so soft, I couldn't hear anything. Maybe my speakers are broken.
Were you able to hear me, Nick?
A little bit. It is soft, but lucky I'm not as old as Wayne, so my hearing.
No, the volume is exceptionally low.
Yeah.
Wayne is not old. Wayne, I've got you. I've got you.
No, us oldies must stick together. Screw you, Nick. Anyway. So there is a caveat here. And and I'm going to give you a bit of history behind this. So in the UK, when we implemented PSD2 there, for you to build an app that the bank can obviously trust to allow its clients to use, we need to go through a vetting process. Now, in the UK, they set up an organization called OBIE, which is the Open Banking Implementation something. Okay. That organization basically does vetting of third parties to make sure that they have the right security levels, that the app's not dodgy. Last thing you want is somebody builds an app, runs it off their desktop at home, and they're getting investor clients to put their credentials sort of into that app. So we need to make sure that the apps that are built, that our clients will be using, have some level of security, safety built in. It's a decent app. It's not just like some fly-by-wire thing that could expose us to potential risk. Because in South Africa, there is no law that governs how we would vet third parties, we are going through a process of implementing our own type of vetting process as Investec. The reason I'm saying this is like your early example of, I just quickly want to go build an app that lets Investec clients do stuff. I'm not sure how viable it is in the individual context, because you're going to have to do stuff similar to what's on the screen now to vet your app as a valid third-party app. If that makes sense. So it's not something you can just quickly slap together and get people to use. You will have to build an app. Obviously, you can still build the app, get it up and running, use sandboxes, whatever we have available. And then once you're in the right space, re-register the app and go live with it. So it's not like it's impossible. I'm just saying there will be friction around building an app, getting it vetted by Investec that you're a valid third-party app. If you're a business typically, and that's why I said in the business cases it's easier, because you typically have all of the stuff already going. Individuals might struggle with like audited financials or a letter of financial good standing. I'm not sure how many of you have that lying around. So there is a process that needs to happen for your app to be verified. That's what I'm trying to highlight here. And that process is quite painful, potentially. Sorry, is a question?
Yeah, sorry, it's me again.
Good.
I'm obviously the talkative one. So the token that is generated by the OAuth process, is that a one-time use token, or is that a multiple use token?
It is a multiple. Well, I'm going to be super technical here. The end result of the three-legged OAuth flow is the auth code, which is a once-use token. But that auth code lets you get a normal code, which is a reusable, like a refresh token that you could use continuously. So to answer you very high level, it's a long life token. It's not a once-off token. It's not like I can use it for once and then leave it. Technically, what happens behind the scenes is in the OAuth flows is we give you an auth code. You use that auth code to come get a refresh token from us, or a bearer token. And then every time you connect, you have to give us the refresh token. We give you a new bearer token and refresh token that you have to save, and that cycles the keys, basically. So there is technically a key cycling mechanism that happens, but from a user experience point of view, he's just doing this process once. If that makes sense. Okay, Frikkie has a question.
I need to unmute myself. For the granting of tokens, will there also be scoping involved? So will the person signing into the app be able to say which areas the app gets access to?
100%. So when you are redirected to us, you log in, username and password, we'll second factor you, we'll take you to a page, and at that page you'll say the third party wants to access these scopes. So you will be approving the scopes that third party wants to initiate on your behalf.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So exactly, basically like Google and so on does it today.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. Like I said, we're trying to not make it like this is some bespoke Investec thing. You need like a degree to figure it out. This is just how anybody would do it.
Yeah, it's similar to any of your gamers. I have a Guild Wars 2 gaming addiction, and off of the API, I go generate specific API tokens for specific pieces of software to access certain parts of my gaming data, in order to analyze my play, etc. So I think it's important to say you can have access to this, but not that.
Yes.
You can see my information, but not transactional information, as an example.
What we are building is exactly that. It's not just scopes. Potentially, we could even limit it to more than a scope level. So you could say, I want to give this third party access to do reads on my account, but I only want this one account. to be in there. So you don't have to give it like carte blanche on all of your accounts. You've got to lock down the grants and the scopes to whatever you feel comfortable with sharing with third parties.
There's a question. Pravindran had a question in the chat. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to answer it exactly. The programmable banking is obvious. It doesn't have to roll out to everybody for everybody to use it. Three-legged OAuth can be like, if I'm a CA, I know nothing about programming, and you have an app that I want to use, I could still use your app without being rolled for programmable banking. Because what I'm doing as my CA is I'm saying, I trust your app, let your app access my data. So it's not really directly correlated to the programmable banking community from a user point of view. From a development point of view, it is. Like, and obviously only devs can build apps, or maybe they can go build something fancy, but the apps will be built by developers. The users of these apps will not just be the development community. It could be any user of Investec that authorizes your app to access their data.
Okay, so you say when the three-legged OAuth goes live, it'll go through the entire Investec user base.
Any Investec client can authorize your app to do it.
Cool.
It's not like restricted to only certain amounts of people. It almost depends on your app at the end of the day. Like what your app does, who's it, what it's trying to accomplish, what the target market is, all of those things.
And the vetting process.
And the vetting process, yes.
Cool. If there's anything else?
Did I miss any questions, Nick? I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that chat.
I don't think so. Vicky was just mentioning that how his financing kind of tells him that he's in bad standing every day, so it's pretty normal.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. Agreed on that one.
My audited financials don't look that good on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I think me and 22/7 have a love-hate relationship. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to the next thing. If there's anything else, guys, please use the chat, Slack, wherever you guys want. If there's some questions there also. But for the time being, we've got another about 1 hour. So let's get to doing a bit of fun, actually. It's just cracking out. I'm just going to, when we divide up into the breakout rooms now, the mural board will pop up in your screens. But just in case you feel like you want to do your own mural board on a different screen, I'm just popping that link into the chat. But the mural board will pop up in the Butter app itself for you to play around with. Cool. So the session itself. So you're basically here to have a bit of fun. We're just here to meet some other people, just to have a bit of a laugh about things and just to think about and kind of start to wrap our heads around what exactly is it that we can build around three-legged OAuth around a specific theme. We'll break out into some rooms, meet some people. We'll play around for about 40 minutes. It's nothing all scary. There's no test here. There's nothing else. We're not looking for brilliant solutions. We're just looking for people just having fun. That's all we're looking for, really. Then the groups will come back to the main room after 40 minutes. We'll do a quick 2 minutes sort of presentation of what was the problem that you're trying to solve, what was the solution, what was the benefits. So that's why it's important to, when you are building out your team or meeting up with your team, to just select a presenter for your team kind of ahead of time. So the suggested path, so you're adults here, you know how to work in a team. So we just, as a suggestion, just spend say 2 to 3 minutes just saying hi to everyone. And then a good sort of icebreaker would be to find out what you have in common. So if you find out what you have in common in your team, maybe that's our bonus point there. If you guys all realize that you love to drink beer, that's a common thing, so that's pretty cool. And then spend 2 to 3 minutes just deciding who will keep time, who will present the final solution, who will do the scribing if you want. And then 20 minutes just figuring out what is the problem that you're trying to solve for, and what can you build that can be shared with others with three-legged OAuth in mind. And then if you come up with a lot of solutions in that time, feel free to vote on one. You can just pick one from you there, and then spend the next 10 minutes just figuring out like a version 1 hack. What would this look like if you had to build this out in a day? So we got a good blog article that the guys did around the board around those spreadsheet banking that the guys built in a day. So that's actually pretty cool. So take a look there. Cool. Then we'll come back to the group after 40 minutes. We'll vote. So it's very subjective. I've anonymized it so you don't feel bad. And then the winning group will win swag. But yeah, you'll see with that. Cool. Any questions before we get cracking, before we divide up? Or Shannon, are we good? Okay, I get a nod. Command center says yes. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Guns.
Karina, I can see you're talking, but you're muted.
So sorry, I'm talking to the fam. The fam is being interruptive.
Well, let's see
I'm
the
gonna
fam.
game just now. She's just like, why aren't you gaming? I'm like, I'm gonna game just now.
She's got to win a hoodie first.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Guys, thank you very much. How was it? Did you guys enjoy it? Was it fun? Did you meet some people?
I had tremendous fun actually. Frikkie, VT, and Nick.
Awesome.
We had lots
Cool.
of fun, but then Kelso had issues and he dropped off, and it ended up just being a.
I know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sorry.
But he gave us a good idea before he left, so that was amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Let me just jump right into the mural board. Yeah. So we can just give the guys a bit of time. Shannon, there were 3 groups. Is that correct? Well, how many groups are there?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Is there any specific order we should go in, you think?
I don't think we did those things.
Maybe just go from the top from Apple or.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking,
Okay.
Yeah.
Vince, are you happy for me to present, or would you like to present?
No, you go ahead, Russell. My thing is so unstable, I can't see anything. So
Cool. Nick, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly, man.
Okay. All right. Okay. So our concept over here is cyber fraud is on the increase. Okay. And that people don't have time to monitor their accounts for fraudulent activity. And sometimes when fraud has happened, it's a little bit too late. Also, people could maybe benefit from some type of machine learning or intelligent analysis of their transactions in their account. And the idea that we have is to produce an application that they sign up to using 3-legged OAuth. So there would be a web front end that we'd put up. They would go, they would log into this. They would provide 3-legged OAuth authentication for us. And then as a service, our app would basically monitor their account for potentially fraudulent transactions using a database, learning from all the other accounts and other sources from a fraud perspective, and would look for anything that's suspicious or out of the ordinary from their usual spend, and then send immediate notifications to the owner of the data. And in addition to that, they would have a parameter page that they can maintain that gives them the ability or the flexibility to specify what types of transactions they would be interested in. So if they want to know, for instance, when their wife spends above 500 Rand on a joint credit card, for instance, you would have the ability to maintain that type of information on there, so that it's not just suspicious or fraudulent transactions, but also transactions of interest that they would want to know about. So they would maintain a list of parameters, and then those transactions would also get communicated to them via instant messaging or within the app itself. And the idea behind it is that obviously the benefits are that you can reduce the level of potential fraud risk for the client and give them an increased awareness over the operation of their banking account. You could even start to give them insight because you've now got, let's say, 200-300 people using your app. you've got an idea what each person at each income level may be spending on restaurants, for instance, and you could potentially give them additional insights into their spending behavior relative to the income that they earn, if that were of interest to them. That one we're not so certain about, but that's an example of where it could also be taken. And the idea behind it is we'd build, so in order to build it over a day is we'd have a web front end for OAuth to be granted. We'd give them a page to configure the parameters for the distilling of the information that they want to see from their account. Telegram would be used to produce messages for key transactions that would be of interest to them. And we would take the information that we get from the bank account, we would throw it at Keros, which will do analysis on it from looking for any types of patterns, etc., and things that are abnormal from the pattern, and any of those deviations would then be notified to the user. Okay. And that's basically it. That's the idea.
Very cool. Very data intensive. Very cool, man.
Well, yeah, that was Vince. Vince was the one that came up with this idea.
That's one. Very cool one. Vince. Okay, sorry, just me. Cool. Just moving along here, we go to our Cherry. Not biased, but I think this one is the best one. But that's just me.
Bias much, yes. Okay, so our final solution really is pre-authorizing. It sounds very simple, but it's pre-authorizing of funds to be paid to a particular platform. It basically comes down to gamifying charity. Okay. Charity is very often a bit of a grudge, and it's all about pity and feeling sorry for people. And we don't want to feel sorry for people. We want to have fun while helping people. So we are gamifying charity, people, by saying that if you play a particular game, you are challenged to reach in your game certain milestones. As an example, if you play FIFA on your Xbox or your PlayStation, if you make in a certain 24-hour charity drive period a certain number of goals, you qualify, and then payment happens per goal. All that money in the end will go to charity. Let me just quickly take you through the basic process. Okay, so first the game designers will obviously set up the parameters of the program to say, if you're doing Guild Wars, we have APIs where you can plug in to monitor progress, regardless of which game it is. And in order to take part in this competition, you need to achieve so many goals, and let's call that a map clear. We have now prepared an application, a mobile application for this. The user will register on that app with, either their gamer tag or whatever. They will then go to their game and create, currently in Guild Wars, I can go create an API key. I now capture that as part of my registration process in this mobile app. And as part of that registration process, I pre-authorize, and this is user defined, the amount of money that I would like to give to charity. So I can say, as much as I'm saying I will pay 10 Rand or 20 Rand for each map that you clear, in this 24-hour period, I do have an upper limit of $500 that I can donate to this charity. So that is then user defined with a max limit of where you have to absolutely stop. Once that limit is set, it pre-auths on your account, similar to Checker 6060. So there is a pre-authorization that funds are temporarily reserved. Obviously, it may end up that you're only paying $250, or it may end up that you're paying the full $500. The app then starts monitoring via the development house's API, your progress in this 24-hour period. You're having fun with your mates, you're gaming, but you're making money for charity. This app monitors that API to bring, to keep a track of what you're happening. What's happening there in your game. It also sorry, I'm trying to read and speak at the same time. I'm not good at multitasking. So the app will monitor, because it will be time triggered from a very particular time. When does this charity drive start? It'll kick off. So even if you're in the game, it's not monitoring anything. It'll only start monitoring when the charity drive starts and ends. And once that drive is completed, say 24 hours later, it will then action the payment from the account to the nominated charity, and then report to the game master that, you know, what goals have been met. So that is gamification of charity.
Very pretty. Thank you. Is there anyone? Was there another one? No, there wasn't. Was it just the two, Shanna?
Yeah, the two other, Kelso and I can't remember the other person. Was
we had one from
Wayne.
Kelso.
No, there was Kelso and somebody else, but I think they both dropped off.
Yeah. But we can talk through Kelso's idea potentially, just so that.
Where was Kelso's one? What did he write it down?
Johan, where did you type it?
That is a very good question. I'm just searching
Johan's
the leaderboard here.
where's the API?
We're all hunting
It
for
was
your
not
sticker.
there.
Oh, maybe he still needs to close his eyes to see it.
Yes, the massive one. Yes, how did it?
I honestly thought it was our own personal leaderboard.
Yeah, well, it is.
Okay. Okay, the green one.
Okay, Johan, you can talk through Kelso's idea.
Well,
All the words.
Yeah, I copy pasted it. Okay, so the idea that he had was that you can literally what we put there. You can control the outflow of your data, but specific to debit orders. So at the moment, it's third parties that controls that. He basically came up with the idea that well, you can kind of manage it on your own. Yeah.
So I like that idea because it sort of puts control of the money that you're spending, like on a schedule. So it's basically converting a debit order to a scheduled payment via some mechanism that you have control over.
So, like, you want to change the debit order date. Now you have to go through a rigmarole, filling documents, etc., etc. This way, you can do it on your own at your own convenience, and it works.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Thanks, man. Ernst, were you part of the same group as our Kelso, or is this a separate one?
The same groups. So okay. Mine was actually just a combination of two of the other ideas that we had before, but we decided to go with Kelso's.
Okay, cool. So we're calling the whole Kelso solution. Okay, cool.
Project Kelso.
Your Project Kelso. I'm going to make a call here because I really like all of the ideas and all of the solutions. So I'm going to make a call, and they're all very different. So I don't think we can vote on a. Okay, well, we're going to vote. Okay, never mind. We got. Okay, we had one.
It's quite difficult to vote because there's so few of us.
Correct. Yes. So that's why I'm thinking that everyone's a winner. I think all of you guys are very cool. You all guys are winners. So yeah, well done. I think it's very cool because they were all so different, but really just thought out and really cool. So I'm sure it's going to be hard to kind of figure out. So you guys are all winners. I'll get in contact with you guys' details if I don't have them already. Yeah, congratulations.
Very cool. We have a round of applause sound effect?
Yes. I can use my sound effects. This is going to be cool. Okay, well done, guys. Well done.
I loved all the ideas. They were very good, like ideation ideas there. I love all of them.
Yeah,
I think we came a little bit left field with the gaming, but it's just something a little bit less serious, still good and fun, and still a nice development challenge, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed. I know we're running just a tiny bit over time, and I really beg your pardons for running a little bit over time. If you want to jump, it's not a problem. I'll feel a bit sad, but let me just quickly just give you a quick update about the community and what we have planned for you next. We would really love to get your feedback on what you thought of tonight's event, how we can make it better, how we can make it cooler for all of you guys. Yeah, as Vicky says, participation awards for everybody. But please let us know. As usual, there's another way to get some swag if you want some more swag there. But we're running, at the last meetup, we asked you guys what sort of social events you guys would like to do, rather than just, a presentation and not so, formal as this sort of thing, and to just casually meet other guys in the community, just whole network, have a bit of fun. So on the 1st of March, I'm just going to do the whole Gather Town thing. So feel free to come and attend, to register for that. If you register and attend, I'll send you guys a Uber Eats voucher. So grab some dinner, have a bit of thing. You can buy some booze, I think, with bottles. I think Uber Eats has, but I have no idea. I've never bought booze from Uber Eats in my life. Yeah, I don't know, but
what you looking at there, Nick? The answer's not in the roof, Nick.
Jesus help me. Yeah, okay. So we got that. So if you guys want to attend, it's going to be cool. Just super casual. We're not going to record it. It's not going to be a whole agenda. It's just a place for you to have a chat, have a grab, eat some food with some mates, have a bit of after work. We can watch videos. We can do whatever we want. Okay, cool. So there's definitely that. Just talking about guilds, as we spoke about in the gaming thing and stuff, what's been on top of my mind at the moment is around guilds and boarding out a group of people, because a lot of guys like Vince and a lot of the guys say no, they prefer to write things more than doing boarding stuff. So there's guys who prefer to do the documentation or write stuff or just talk about programmable banking or open banking or crypto or fintech in more details. And then there's also guys in the community who really like to just help people. There's also guys who really keen to just get involved, to be mentors, to help guide people. So I'm thinking of building out some sort of guilds in the next quarter around those two main pieces, essentially, like the Writers Guild, which would do the research around open banking, write the whole how-to guides, or just share their knowledge. And then other guys who are just really cool to welcome new people into the community, or just to get involved in events and make it really cool. So there's a space for everyone. If you're keen about that, I'm just trying to get the sense of it. If you're keen about it, just give me a thumbs up, say yeah, it's cool. If you want to know more, please feel free to message me or let me know in the groups or wherever you want. Say that you want to be a part of something like this. That'll be really cool. If you want to start to make this community your community and to get more involved in it, that'll be really cool. So it's something that's been on top of my mind. I'd really love your feedback on it if you think it's cool, whatever you want, and we can build it around there. And then each guild would essentially be able to run themselves. They would be able to set themselves up, have their own sort of onboarding process and that sort of thing. Cool. Our next meetup is on the 24th of March. Guys, we're going to have some demos. We're going to see what the guys have built in the quarter. I'm going to arrange some really cool things. If there's something specifically that you guys want to talk about there, please let me know. If you want to hold demo something that you built, please do let me know. Well, hey, also, it doesn't need to be around three-legged OAuth, but whatever you want. If you want to share something with the community, just let me know. It's a space for you to kind of talk to everyone there. Cool. Any questions, please let me know. But if you want to stay around, that's done for the formal parts of the night. If you want to stay around, watch some cat videos or whatever you want, that's also cool. When it's talk nonsense, if you ask some questions, I'm also fine. But that ends our main talk bits of tonight.
I have some serious gaming to get to. My appointment is at 9 because all my guild members are 2 hours behind me in time.
Hey, lucky then. Cool, guys. Thank you very, again, from the bottom of our hearts, I really appreciate you guys just getting involved, showing up, great ideas, the energy that you guys bring, the love that you guys bring. And I'm just noticing our Fricky's shirt now, and I've got just shirt that whole parrot. So very cool, mate.
Sit up a little bit. I can't see it so clearly. Ah, I love it. Love it.
I love that one.
I love it.
Cool. But yeah, cool, guys.
I just have a question which I think relates back. Is there a timeline for when the three-legged OAuth will become available for us to start building with?
It went live yesterday.
Oh.
So it is in production. So I think we can just get hold of Nick and we can set you up with something and we can start seeing how we can play with it.
That's great.
Okay. So in theory, there's no more waiting. It's done now.
Yeah. I think they're still testing it out, but it's in production and the guys have started to play to kind of build around with it. So yeah, cool.
Always need good testers. Fricky looks like a good tester. Huh? We'll get him involved.
He's going to party hard.
Yeah, party hard on our API. Was that?
After having worked hard.
Sounds like I need to. Sounds like I need to get the process going for a financial letter of well-being or. There we go.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys haven't, there's that. There's also that whole Lava. I'm going to butcher the name now. That whole Lava, whole documentary. Yeah, my tongue's all twisted from talking the whole day. The whole Lava documentary, which is actually going to be pretty cool. You guys have spent a lot of time, so you'll be able to register and to take a look at that. There's also some cool things there if you're into that. See if I can find that link. User testing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we don't test in live, but there's user testing.
Okay. Anything else, guys? You guys good?
Happiness.
Happiness.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
Guys,
Shana.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a lovely evening. Thanks for
You
so
too.
much
Good
fun.
luck. No problem. Good luck, guys.
Yes, bye.
Bye-bye.
Where's that sound effect thing? Is it good? Like,
Woohoo!
no, that's the wrong
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's what it sounded like.
one. Good. Well, better than like that. Cheers.